He thought his secrets were buried too deep to ever surface. But on that golden morning, under the glittering chandeliers of the city's most luxurious hotel, his past came crashing into his present, and everything he believed he controlled shattered in a single glance. Victor Cortez walked tall that day, dressed in his sharpest charcoal suit, polished shoes tapping against the marble. He carried himself with the arrogance of a man who thought the world bowed to him. On his arm clung a young woman, dazzling in a scarlet dress, her laughter echoing across the lavish lobby. She wasn't his wife. She was his indulgence, his secret escape, the proof of his betrayal. The hotel smelled of roses and power. The marble floors reflected the sunlight pouring in through towering glass windows. Staff bowed respectfully, whispering his name as though he were royalty. Victor loved it. He loved the admiration, the illusion, the feeling that he could buy silence with money and erase guilt with charm. But that illusion shattered the moment he reached into his pocket, pulled out his platinum card, and handed it to the receptionist. For across the room, walking with the grace of a queen reborn, was the last person he expected to see. It was his wife, Selene. Only she was no longer the heartbroken partner he had abandoned. She was the new owner of the very empire he thought he controlled. And in that instant, Victor's world cracked like glass beneath a hammer. Before I take you deeper into this story, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and the power of second chances, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Tales Binanya. Your support helps us keep bringing powerful stories to life. Now, let's go back, because the story of Victor and Selene began long before that unforgettable morning in the hotel lobby. Victor Cortez hadn't always been this way. There was a time when he was the man every woman dreamed of. Strong, ambitious, charming. The kind of man who held his woman's hand like she was the only person in the world. And Selene? She was his anchor, quietly radiant, with a strength that shone even in her gentleness. When they first met, Victor had nothing but dreams in his pocket. He wanted to build something big, something lasting. And Selene believed in him. She didn't just believe. She sacrificed, she encouraged, she stood by him when nobody else thought he would make it. Together they built a company from scratch. Together they built a home filled with hope. To the world, they were unstoppable. To Selene, he was everything. But success has a way of testing a man's heart. As Victor's company grew, so did his hunger. His ambition, once noble, turned into greed. Late nights at the office became routine. Phone calls turned into whispers, and the warmth Selene once felt in his embrace slowly disappeared, replaced by cold indifference. Then came Alyssa, a younger woman, beautiful, loud, and dangerous. She was drawn to Victor's wealth, to the glitter of his lifestyle, but not to the man himself. She loved the thrill, not the foundation. Still, Victor fell. Selene noticed. She noticed everything. The missed anniversaries, the lipstick stains, the hotel receipts that didn't match his stories. People saw her as the perfect wife of a successful man, but behind her smile was heartbreak she carried alone. Yet Selene was not as fragile as Victor believed. With every wound, she grew stronger. With every betrayal, she began weaving a new destiny for herself. Quietly, carefully, she invested in her own path. She studied, she planned, she took risks Victor never noticed because he never bothered to look. And while he was busy chasing illusions, Selene was building a future that would one day eclipse his entire world. That morning, when Victor swaggered into the hotel lobby with Alyssa clinging to him, he thought it was just another day of indulgence. Another day where his money and status shielded him from consequences. He smirked as staff bowed, savoring the illusion of untouchable power. But then, Selene appeared. She wore a cream suit that radiated elegance and authority. Her heels clicked against the marble floor like thunder, announcing her arrival before her voice ever could. The air shifted. Guests turned their heads. Staff froze. And Victor felt the ground beneath him disappear. Alyssa, at first oblivious, leaned closer to whisper something playful in his ear. But the moment she caught sight of Selene's unwavering gaze, her smile faltered. She clung tighter to Victor, but even she could feel it. This was no ordinary wife standing before them. This was a woman transformed. The receptionist's hands trembled as she held Victor's card, her eyes flicking nervously between him and Selene. The silence in the lobby grew heavy, filled with unspoken truths. And then Selene walked forward, each step echoing louder than any accusation could. She did not need to shout. She did not need to cry. Her presence alone was enough to strip Victor of every illusion he had built. In her eyes, he saw the reflection of his sins, the lies, the broken promises, the arrogance. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Alyssa shifted uncomfortably, realizing she was standing in the shadow of a woman who possessed a dignity wealth could never buy. Selene was no longer the wife waiting at home, praying for scraps of love. She was the owner, the leader, the woman who had risen not out of revenge, but out of resilience. And Victor realized in that moment that he had traded gold for glitter, substance for shadows, love for lust. But here's the part that makes Selene unforgettable. She had every reason to expose him, every reason to tear him down in front of the staff, the guests, and the mistress clinging to his arm. Yet she didn't. She chose silence, and that silence was louder than thunder. She didn't look at him with hatred. She didn't cry or scream. Instead, she simply turned her gaze away, reminding him that her life no longer revolved around his choices, that she had found her freedom, that she had become untouchable. The staff admired her. Alyssa envied her. And Victor stood there, drowning in a sorrow words could never express. In the days that followed, Victor's life unraveled. He wandered through empty rooms, haunted by memories he had once taken for granted. The mornings Selene made him coffee. The nights she stayed awake waiting for him to come home. The way she believed in him when no one else did. And now she was gone. Not broken, not bitter, but stronger than ever. He had lost her not because she wasn't enough, but because he had failed to see that she was everything. Selene, on the other hand, flourished. Under her leadership, the hotel was transformed. It was no longer just a place of luxury, but a sanctuary, a symbol of resilience, a tribute to second chances. Guests whispered about her story, the woman who had been betrayed, but rose like a phoenix from the ashes of heartbreak. She didn't just own the empire, she embodied it, grand, graceful, unshakable. If this story has touched your heart, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Tales Binanya. Your support helps us continue spreading stories of healing, dignity, and the quiet power of second chances. And now I want to hear from you. What lesson did you take from Selene's journey? Comment below. Your words might inspire someone who truly needs it today. Because in the end, this story isn't just about betrayal. It's about transformation. It's about the power of dignity over revenge. It's about finding strength in heartbreak. And most of all, it's about realizing that sometimes the greatest victory is not in destroying the one who wronged you, but in rising above, stronger and freer than ever. And as Selene stood in the sunlight streaming through the hotel's tall windows, the world no longer saw a wife left behind. They saw a woman reborn,